The galaxy was wide and filled with wonders, but many species believed they had already learned everything worth knowing. Among these many civilizations, humans were seen as a small race. Their worlds were young, their technology was not the most advanced, and their fleets were not the largest. Many alien species thought humans were only curious travelers, kind but unimportant. But those who thought this did not understand the true strength of humans, the strength of their hearts. This story begins on Station Aurelia, a peaceful neutral space station that floated in a calm orbit around a giant blue gas planet. Aurelia was known as a place where travelers from many species met, traded, and talked. The air smelled slightly different in each sector because different atmospheres were adjusted to suit different visitors. The lights were soft, the halls were clean, and voices from dozens of languages echoed softly through the corridors. Among all the visitors on the station, there was a small human crew of 5. They had come from Earth on a simple mission: research, trade, and learn. The humans were ordinary travelers. They did not carry high rank or strong power. Their ship was small, called the Starling, named after a small bird from Earth that traveled in groups and moved gracefully in the sky. The humans liked that name. To them, it felt hopeful. The crew consisted of Captain Lyra Hayes, Engineer Malik, Scientist Anya Chen, Navigator Soren Reed, and Medical Officer Dr. Kevin Meyer. They were friendly, polite, and curious about every species they met. They spent their days assisting where they could, fixing small tools for traders, helping young alien visitors understand maps, or simply listening to stories. They did not do these acts for rewards or special recognition. It was simply part of who they were. On the same station, there lived a diplomat from a species called the Valari. The Valari were tall, graceful beings with soft, glowing patterns on their skin. Their voices were slow and calm. The diplomat's name was Revel, and he observed everything with patience and deep thought. The Valari believed that wisdom came from quiet observation, not sudden action. Revel had seen many species come and go, but humans always puzzled him. He had heard different opinions about them from other worlds. Some aliens said humans were too emotional. Some said they were reckless. Some admired their courage. Others did not understand them at all. Revel wanted to understand for himself. Every morning, Revel sat by a large windowed hall that overlooked the docking bay. From there, he watched visitors arrive and leave. He often saw the small human ship Starling, parked in one of the modest bays. Most species preferred larger or more official ships, yet the humans seemed content and cheerful, no matter their size or status. One ordinary day, the quiet routine of the station changed. A mining vessel from a species called the Galen was scheduled to dock. The Galen were known for their large, sturdy bodies and strong engineering abilities. They worked frequently in asteroid belts, mining valuable metals and crystals. Their ships were strong but sometimes old. The station prepared for the arrival as usual. However, something went wrong. As the Galen vessel approached the dock, its engines flickered. A loud, deep alarm filled the station. The ship twisted slightly off course. Parts of its structure groaned under pressure. Smoke and sparks flickered along its side. The docking clamps tried to catch it, but the ship was unstable. The station shook slightly. People paused where they stood. The Galen vessel hit part of the docking structure, and a piece of the platform bent and began to collapse. Crew members were trapped inside. Station security moved quickly. They sealed emergency doors and told everyone to remain at a safe distance. Engineers began trying to stabilize the damaged dock. Many watched in worry but did not move close. The situation seemed too dangerous. The structure could fall at any moment, but the humans reacted differently. When they heard the alarm, Captain Lyra and her crew ran toward the docking area, not away from it. They did not wait for orders. They did not stop to evaluate the danger for too long. They simply saw that someone needed help. Rival, observing quietly from the hall, watched with disbelief. The humans did not have heavy equipment or special tools, but they had quick minds and steady hands. Engineer Malik immediately assessed the support beams. He pointed to one section and said, "We can brace this if we use a manual stabilizer. It will hold long enough." Scientist Anya checked the control panel and began rerouting emergency power with calm focus. Navigator Soren and Dr. Kevin coordinated communication, calling into the ship to check if the Galen crew was conscious and able to move. Captain Lyra climbed onto the damaged platform carefully. The metal was shaking. Smoke brushed past her like mist, but she did not show fear. Her voice was clear and encouraging. "Everyone inside, we are here. We will help you. Please stay calm." Inside the ship, 3 Galen miners were trapped behind a jammed door. They could not open it from the inside because the door had bent from the impact. The humans did not have strong mechanical suits, but they had leverage tools and clever hands. Malik and Lyra worked together, using simple mechanical pressure and support rods. They pushed, adjusted, and held the door steady. It was slow, careful work. They never rushed. They only used enough force to move the metal without causing it to break further. After several long minutes, the door finally shifted enough for the Galen to squeeze through. The miners stepped out, injured but safe. Their heavy bodies shook with relief, but the platform still threatened to collapse. The humans guided the Galen crew back step by step, making sure they did not panic or move too fast. Dr. Cavan checked them for injuries while Soren helped station security secure the exit. Once everyone was safely away, the station sealed the damaged area and the danger was contained. The crowd that had gathered around the observation area was silent. They had just watched something they did not expect. Not everyone would have moved forward in such a moment. Not every species would have risked themselves for strangers. Reval watched the humans quietly. He noticed something in their faces. They were tired, shaken, covered in soot and dust. But they were smiling, not proudly but gently. They were simply glad the miners were safe. They did not ask for thanks. The Galen crew, grateful and emotional, bowed their heads to the humans. In Galen culture, that gesture meant deep respect. Captain Lyra only replied, "We were happy to help. That is what friends do, even if we have only just met." Reval felt something new stir in his thoughts. He had spent many years studying the behavior of species across the galaxy. But this act, simple, direct, without condition, carried a meaning he could not ignore. Later, he recorded the event in his diplomatic journal. Humans act with heart first. Their courage does not come from power. It comes from care, and this care moves others. Today, I think I have seen the beginning of something that will change more than one world. It was only one act of help, given without expectation. But such acts, when done by humans, have the power to travel far, farther than any starship, farther even than the stars themselves. The story of the humans' rescue spread across Station Aurelia faster than anyone expected. The event had not been loud or grand. There were no shining medals, no official celebration, and no public speech. Yet the memory of it moved quietly from one visitor to another, carried like a gentle breeze. Every traveler who saw or heard about the rescue shared it further when they returned to their own worlds. And so, a small act began to travel through the galaxy. Rival, the Valari diplomat, continued to watch the humans closely after that day. He had always believed that the galaxy changed only through large events, alliances, discoveries, and great decisions. But now he began to wonder if change could also come from something smaller and softer, something like kindness. The human crew did not change how they acted after the rescue. Captain Lyra and her team continued their daily routine, helping where help was needed, learning where knowledge was offered, and speaking warmly to every stranger they met. They did not tell stories about their rescue. They did not mention it unless someone asked. To them, it was simply something they did because it felt natural. One morning, Engineer Malik sat in a repair workshop on the station, working on a small floating drone that a young alien child had brought in. The drone was a playful toy shaped like a tiny silver orb with wings that fluttered softly. The child was from a species that looked like bright-colored birds with gentle eyes. The toy was important to the child, and Malik fixed it carefully, smiling as the wings fluttered back to life. The child chirped happily and thanked Malik. Then he ran off to show his family. Malik felt warm inside, knowing he had helped someone's day become better. Meanwhile, scientist Anya spent her time sharing simple Earth farming methods with a group of traders from another species. Their home planet had soil that was losing its nutrients. Anya used basic drawings and clear explanations to show how composting and crop rotation could help restore the soil. The traders listened closely and took careful notes. They thanked her repeatedly because her knowledge would help their farms and families. Dr. Cavan worked in the medical wing of the station for a few hours every day. He did not treat serious emergencies. Those were handled by the station's staff, but he helped with general care. When someone had trouble breathing because they had visited a sector with different air levels, Dr. Cavan gently helped them recover. When a traveler was tired or worried, he sat with them and spoke softly until they felt calm. His kindness eased many hearts. Navigator Soren spent time teaching simple star routes and map reading. He helped new travelers understand how to navigate safely between worlds. Many young space travelers respected him because he explained things patiently and never made them feel foolish for asking questions. Captain Lyra remained the guiding presence among them. She walked the station halls with quiet confidence, always watching to see if anyone needed help. When she spoke, people listened. Her words were gentle but carried strength. Rival often sat nearby, observing all of this. He filled page after page in his journal with notes. The humans do not help because they want to lead. They do not help to gain trust. They simply help because they feel it is right. This kind of action does not demand anything in return, but it creates deep respect anyway. Days turned into weeks, and small acts of kindness continued to ripple outward. However, not everyone understood these actions the same way. Some alien merchants believed they saw an opportunity. They thought humans were naive, easy to persuade and easy to take advantage of. So one merchant tried to bargain unfairly with Captain Lyra. He claimed the price of simple supplies was 10 times higher than normal, thinking the humans would simply trust him. But Captain Lyra did not respond with anger or accusation. She simply smiled and said, "We always check the real price before trading. We want to learn, but we do not choose to be foolish." Her calm response surprised the merchant. He realized the humans were kind, not careless, generous but not simple-minded, helpful but also wise. The merchant lowered the price to the fair amount and left, thinking deeply about what he had learned that day. This understanding spread as well. Soon, more and more travelers began to treat humans with honest respect. Meanwhile, the Galen miners who had been rescued returned to their homeworld. Their families and communities heard the story. They spoke of the courage of the humans and of their gentle words afterward. The Galen were a strong and proud species, and they did not easily forget kindness. They began to speak of humans as honorable allies. Slowly, small changes appeared across the station. A Valari musician composed a soft melody inspired by the humans' rescue. A group of traders offered the human crew a supply of fruit from their home world as a gift. A pair of engineers from another species asked Malik to teach them his repair techniques. The humans continued to help, and each action led to another. The ripple grew wider. One afternoon, Rival invited Captain Lyra to sit with him at the observation window. The view outside was beautiful. The gas giant below swirling with calm blue and white colors and small ships gliding through space. Rival spoke softly. "I have watched your people for many days now. I have observed how you act, how you speak, and how you treat others. I want to understand something. Why do humans help in this way? You do not gain wealth or power from it. What motivates you?" Captain Lyra looked out the window, thinking. After a moment, she answered, "We help because helping others makes the galaxy feel a little less lonely. We know what it feels like to struggle, to be unsure, to need a hand. When we help someone, it reminds us that we all share the same stars, even if we come from different worlds." Rival listened closely. "And do you expect others to help you in return?" he asked gently. Lyra shook her head. "No, help is a gift. A gift is meaningful only when it is given freely." Rival felt a quiet shift in his heart. He had studied diplomacy for years, yet this simple explanation held more wisdom than many political lessons he had heard. After that conversation, Rival shared the story of the humans' kindness with leaders of other worlds. He did not speak in grand speeches. He simply described what he saw with clear honesty. Some leaders listened with curiosity, others listened with admiration. A few listened and felt inspired, and slowly the galaxy began to change its view of humans. They were no longer seen as small, fragile travelers. They were seen as compassionate explorers with gentle strength, a species that did not push others aside to rise, but lifted others with them. But these ripples of kindness were not only warm, they were powerful. And soon this power would be needed. For far away beyond known space, something mysterious was awakening, a presence that consumed light and life, a quiet threat that moved silently across the stars. The galaxy did not know it yet, but the humans' kindness had already begun preparing hearts, so that when the time came, entire worlds would stand together because of one small act, because of a kindness that traveled across stars. Time passed softly on Station Aurelia. The humans continued to help and learn, and the gentle ripples of kindness kept spreading. Travelers who visited the station returned to their home planets carrying stories of small human actions that warmed hearts and encouraged friendship. What started as one rescue became a quiet influence that touched many worlds. But the galaxy was large, and not all things in it were gentle or easy. Far beyond the known star routes, something unusual had begun to move. It did not speak. It did not have anger or purpose. It simply traveled, absorbing light and warmth wherever it passed. It was like a cold shadow that dimmed stars behind it. The astronomers from several species noticed this first. They saw stars growing softer in brightness, as if something was gently covering them like thin mist. This strange phenomenon came to be known as the quiet drift. At first, many believed it was only a natural cosmic event, something harmless. But soon, planets on the outer edges of the galaxy began to send messages expressing concern. Their energy supplies were weakening. Their plant life was growing slower because the sunlight had dimmed. Their air felt colder. It was small and slow but steady, like winter arriving in places where winter had never existed. Reval received the news during a calm morning. He sat at his desk reviewing a message from a Valari science expedition near the galaxy's rim. The message spoke of gentle but constant dimming, like a warm candle slowly losing its flame. Reval knew this was something important. He went to the human crew and shared the information with them. Captain Lyra listened carefully, her expression thoughtful. Scientist Anya's eyes widened with interest. Engineer Malik leaned forward, considering mechanical solutions. Dr. Cavan and Navigator Soren both felt a stillness settle in the air. "This seems like something that will affect many worlds," Lyra said softly. "Not only ours," Reval nodded. "Yes, and the effects are slow but meaningful. If the light continues to fade, life in some places will become harder. Not dangerous, but difficult. Can we help?" Malik asked without hesitation. Reval smiled gently. "I thought you would ask that." The humans did not wait for others to solve the problem. They joined various scientists and travelers who gathered to discuss the quiet drift. The meeting took place in a large hall filled with representatives from different species. There were tall beings with shimmering patterns on their skin, small round beings who rolled gently when they moved, and delicate translucent beings who spoke in musical tones. Each one brought knowledge from their home. But despite all this knowledge, there was confusion. No one knew what caused the quiet drift. Some believed it might be a natural cosmic cloud. Others thought it could be the remains of a collapsed star. No one was certain. While others debated, the humans began to ask simple questions. What is happening to the light itself? What changes are shared across all affected worlds? What do we all have in common in this situation? Their questions were not complex, but they helped everyone think clearly. The humans suggested working together rather than trying to solve the mystery alone. This idea made sense to many. The galaxy had always been a group of many separate voices. Humans encouraged these voices to speak together. A research alliance was formed. It included scientists from the Valari, the Galen, the gentle bird-like children species, and many others. The humans became a bridge between them, helping communication, translating ideas, and offering encouragement when discussions became difficult. Weeks passed. The research groups worked together, sharing maps, data, and observations. And slowly a pattern began to form. The quiet drift did not move randomly. It moved in a steady direction, like a wind slowly blowing across the stars. It seemed to be drawn by energy, light, warmth, motion. It was not harmful in intention, only in effect. It did not destroy. It simply absorbed. "It is like a traveler with no home," Dr. Cavan said gently. "It moves because it needs something to survive, and it does not understand the lives it touches." Anya added softly, "Maybe we do not need to stop it. Maybe we only need to guide it to a place where it will cause no difficulty." This thought brought silence to the room. It was a new idea. Most species had first assumed that if something caused trouble, it must be pushed away or destroyed. But the humans thought differently. They thought in terms of balance. Captain Lyra spoke softly, but her words carried across the hall. "Sometimes helping is not about fighting or forcing. Sometimes it is about understanding and showing a better path. Reval wrote in his journal that night. Humans see solutions not as battles but as discoveries. They look for harmony first. It is a rare and grounding sight. With the help of shared knowledge, the Research Alliance created a plan. They would use gentle guiding fields, streams of energy sent from different stations, to slowly redirect the quiet drift away from star systems where life grew, and toward a region of space that was wide, quiet, and filled with empty dust and peaceful darkness. There, it could remain without affecting anyone. But in order for the guiding fields to be strong enough, many worlds had to work together. Resources were needed. Energy was needed. Cooperation was needed, and it was the humans' small acts of kindness that made this possible. The Galen remembered being rescued. They offered powerful stabilizing technology. The Velari admired the humans' compassion. They offered communication support and leadership. The traders from the farming planets offered energy supplies freely, because Anya's teachings had helped them grow more crops. The bird-like children species sent engineers who had learned from Malik and wanted to repay kindness with help. One by one, worlds stepped forward. They did not do this because they were commanded. They did it because they felt grateful. Gratitude grew into cooperation. Cooperation grew into unity, and unity became strength. The humans were surprised. They had not expected so many to join. Captain Lyra felt her heart warm as she realized something beautiful. A single act of help had indeed grown into something that could guide worlds. Preparations continued calmly. The guiding energy fields were shaped into glowing currents that shimmered softly through space. They were gentle like warm wind, not forceful. Slowly, the quiet drift responded. It moved with the currents, little by little, like a drifting cloud being guided by soft hands. No battle was fought. No weapon was raised. No harm was done. Instead, understanding and cooperation created a new path. The galaxy watched this moment with quiet wonder. No grand celebration took place. No orchestra played. No banners flew. The moment was simple and peaceful. But its meaning was vast. Rival wrote his longest journal entry yet. The humans have shown us something important. Strength is not only in force or knowledge. Strength also lives in kindness, patience, and the willingness to help, without expecting return. When humans help, they do not only solve one problem. They inspire hearts. And hearts once inspired can move stars. Captain Lyra and her crew did not think of themselves as leaders or heroes. They simply returned to Station Aurelia, feeling grateful that the galaxy had worked together. But the galaxy itself had changed. Worlds were closer now. Species trusted one another a little more. Voices spoke more kindly. Hands reached out more often. And all of it came from small acts of help that had begun with no expectation of return. Yet, the journey was not over. The galaxy was entering a new time, one where unity had become possible, and gratitude, once awakened, was only beginning to show its true strength. The galaxy felt different now. Not louder, not busier, just warmer. Where there had once been distance between worlds, now there was communication. Where there had once been silence, now there was trust. The quiet drift had been guided to a peaceful place where it would no longer affect planets or life. The plan had worked because many hands had worked together. The humans did not see themselves as the cause of this great unity, but many others did. To them, the humans' gentle encouragement had been the spark, the quiet beginning of a new way of thinking. On Station Aurelia, daily life continued. Ships came and went. Lights glowed softly and travelers shared stories with peaceful voices. But something new occurred now. Whenever a new visitor arrived, they asked, "Where are the humans who helped others? We would like to meet them." Captain Lyra and her crew always welcomed them warmly. They spoke kindly, listened carefully, and offered help where they could. They did not make speeches or claim leadership. They simply lived the way they always had. Rival noticed this calm humility. He admired it deeply. In his journal he wrote, "True guidance is not loud. It walks quietly and lets others grow." One day a message arrived at the station. It came from a distant world known as Lunareth, a place famous for its floating gardens and peaceful lakes that reflected the stars. Lunareth wished to host a gathering of worlds, a large meeting where many species would share learning, offer support to one another, and discuss how to help any world facing difficulty. It was to celebrate unity and continued cooperation. The message specifically asked for the human crew to attend, not as leaders, but as honored guests. When Captain Lyra read the invitation, she smiled gently. "We are not special," she said softly. "We only did what felt right." Rival replied, "Sometimes what feels right can be the start of something great, and others wish to thank you for that." So the human crew boarded their ship Starling and began the journey to Lunareth. Many other ships traveled along similar paths. From their windows, the humans saw fleets of different shapes and colors moving peacefully through the calm space lanes. Instead of fear or suspicion, there was companionship. When they arrived at Lunareth, they were greeted by a breathtaking sight. The planet was covered with soft, shimmering oceans of pale blue. Floating above them were platforms of transparent crystal and green gardens that drifted gently in the breeze. Beings of many species walked on these floating terraces, talking, smiling, and sharing food and stories. The gathering was not grand or decorated with luxury. It was simple and warm. Circles of cushions were placed around open areas so visitors could sit together. There were no podiums or stages. No one was higher than anyone else. Everyone was equal. Captain Lyra and her crew sat among others, learning rather than teaching. They listened to stories from faraway worlds. How kindness in one station led to neighbors helping one another. How shared farming methods brought new harvests. How young travelers now explored the stars without fear because they knew friendship was possible anywhere. The humans felt humbled. They did not realize how far their actions had traveled. During the gathering, a Galen miner, the same one who had once been rescued, told the story of the accident on Station Aurelia. His voice was deep and steady. "When we were trapped, we thought we would not escape," he said. "But humans came without hesitation and helped us. Not for reward, not for glory. They helped because they cared. From that day, I told myself, if someone needs help, I will do the same." That is how gratitude grows. The crowd listened in gentle silence. Then a quiet moment followed. No applause, no loud reaction. Only warm understanding filled the space. This was not a celebration of one heroic event. This was a recognition of how kindness can echo across lives. As the gathering continued, the representatives began discussing how different worlds could stay connected in peace. They proposed creating an alliance of shared support, a group of worlds that would help any who needed assistance. Not to control or lead, but simply to stand with one another. When the idea was expressed, many nodded quickly. Others placed their hands over their hearts or bowed their heads. The agreement formed naturally, like leaves growing when spring arrives, but something even more meaningful happened next. Small child from the bird-like species approached Captain Lyra. The child had been the same one whose toy Malik repaired long ago. The child held a small crystal feather glowing softly. The child said, "This is for you, not as a payment, but as a thank you. When something is saved, something should be given from the heart." Lyra knelt to accept it, touched deeply. She did not speak for a moment because emotion warmed her eyes. Then she said softly, "Thank you. I will treasure it, and I will remember the kindness behind it." Rival observed this and wrote, "Gratitude does not demand repayment. It simply gives back because the heart encourages it. And when many hearts act this way together, the effect can guide the stars themselves." The alliance of shared support was formed that day, not with contracts or strict rules, but with mutual understanding. Worlds promised to offer help when asked, to listen when others struggled, to share when others lacked. It was a promise of gentle unity, and the humans, without seeking it, became symbols of this shared spirit. But they did not act differently afterward. They continued to live simply and kindly. After the gathering, the Starling returned to Station Aurelia. The humans felt peaceful. They had seen something beautiful, how kindness had grown into something vast. But as they returned to their gentle routine, a quiet awareness remained. The galaxy was changing still, and more change was yet to come. For gratitude, once awakened, does not stay still, it grows. It connects. It reaches across worlds. And soon, it would guide every world toward an even deeper harmony, one that would shape the future of stars. The great hall of the Galactic Council was silent. The council members, who represented many star systems and species, sat in curved rows that formed a circle. Their eyes were fixed on the large, clear screen above them. It showed Earth, small and blue, floating in the darkness of space. It looked peaceful now. No weapons aimed at it, no ships threatening it, just a world recovering from fear and chaos. Humans had gathered in unity. Thousands had stood on mountains, in cities, near oceans, holding hands and showing kindness. They had sung songs, shared food, saved wildlife, repaired villages, and helped strangers. It was not a display of power. It was a display of heart. And this simple act of kindness had sent waves of calm across the planet, forming a field that even the Galactic Council could detect. Vorian stood in the center of the hall. His voice was calm but strong. He was no longer just a commander. He was seen now as someone who understood the true reason life across galaxies should exist, not to compete, but to help. He said, "You all saw what happened. When we treated humans with kindness, they replied with a gratitude that is pure. Their gratitude does not just stay in their words. It grows in their actions. It forms energy that is warm and peaceful. This is something our galaxy needs more than any weapon or law," the council members whispered among themselves. Many planets were advanced. They had technology that could build ships, cities, and machines faster than humans, but none of them had displayed something like this before. Gratitude so strong that it changed the emotional environment of an entire world. One council member, a tall being with pale silver skin, asked, "Do you believe humans are ready to stand as equal members of the galaxy?" Vorian nodded. Yes, they make mistakes like all species, but their good actions shine brighter than their errors. When someone helps them sincerely, they do not forget. They return kindness with strength that can shake worlds, not through force, but through unity. Meanwhile, on Earth, Elena stood with Grant. They looked up at the sky, where the stars were slowly becoming more visible as the evening came. Grant asked softly, "Do you think they will trust us now?" Elena smiled. "We did not change ourselves for them. We only remembered who we truly are. That is enough." The people of Earth were tired but hopeful. Villages damaged earlier were being rebuilt by volunteers. Students and teachers worked together to restart schools. Farmers shared seeds and tools. Families took in children who had lost homes. Doctors and nurses traveled across regions to help anyone who needed care. There were no orders, no force, just human hearts guiding human actions. This movement was not commanded by any leader. It rose from the people themselves, and that made it strong. Back in the council hall, the discussion continued. Some members were still unsure. A council member with wings made of soft light asked, "What if humans grow too strong in the future?" Vorian answered gently, "Strength guided by selfishness is dangerous, but strength guided by gratitude is healing. When humans remember kindness, they do not try to rule others. They try to help them stand as equals. We must trust them to keep that path. And we can remind them if they forget." Silence returned. The council members looked at the screen again. The light around Earth shimmered, calm and bright. It looked like a heartbeat, steady and warm. Then the highest council member, an ancient figure with a slow, thoughtful voice, rose and spoke. "Let it be known. Earth shall be welcomed into the Galactic Union, not because they are powerful, not because they are advanced, but because they have shown the rare gift of returning help with sincere gratitude. Let all worlds learn from this example." A clear tone rang through the hall, signaling agreement. The decision was final. Vorian smiled quietly. He did not cheer. He did not raise his arms. He simply felt peace. Months passed. The first peaceful Alliance ships landed on Earth, not for control, but for knowledge exchange. Scientists, artists, healers, and teachers from many species visited, and humans shared their music, books, stories, and ideas in return. They traded not just technology or resources, but understanding. Elena and Grant were chosen to represent Earth in meetings across the galaxy. They traveled with others, learning and teaching. Wherever they went, people were surprised by something simple yet powerful. Humans listened with full attention. They did not pretend to already know everything. Their curiosity was open and honest. This earned respect. One day, Elena stood on a balcony of a large space station. She looked down at a planet covered in forests of golden leaves. A group of children from different species gathered around her, listening to her tell stories of Earth, how people planted trees, how they protected rivers, how they rebuilt after storms, how they cared for each other in difficult times. The children smiled. Some asked questions. Some laughed. Elena felt warmth in her heart. Grant, on another planet, worked with scientists who studied energy patterns. They discovered something remarkable. The emotional field humans had created during their Unity event did not fade. It changed shape. It became something like a memory stored inside Earth itself, a memory of kindness. A reminder, anyone who visited Earth could feel a calm sense of welcome. That was the true gift humans had given. Not technology, not inventions, not strength, but a memory of gratitude that lived in the land, the sky, and the hearts of the people. Years later, a large celebration took place across planets. Earth had now become a symbol of peace. Many worlds that had once lived in distrust began helping each other again. If one world faced difficulty, others supported it, not because they wanted reward, but because kindness had become something of honor. Vorian visited Earth again. He walked along a quiet shore. The waves touched the sand softly. The sunlight reflected in patterns that reminded him of the calm light around Earth he had once seen from space. Elena and Grant joined him. "You believed in us," Grant said. Vorian shook his head gently. "No, I did not believe in humans alone. I believed in kindness. You simply proved that kindness has deep roots in your hearts." They stood together watching the horizon. The world was calm. Not perfect, but growing, healing, learning. Humans did not forget what had happened. They kept teaching their children about gratitude. Schools included lessons on how helping someone can change more than just one moment. It can shape the future. The shining field of unity still existed, not always visible, but always present when humans helped each other sincerely. And so, across galaxies, when people spoke of Earth, they did not speak of it as a place of great power or great wealth. They spoke of it as the world that remembered kindness, a world that replied to every act of help with gratitude strong enough to shake worlds and calm them too.